This content is for informational purposes only. You should not construe any such information or other material as legal, tax, investment, financial, or other advice. Nothing contained on here constitutes a solicitation, recommendation, endorsement, or offer by Draper Goren Holm or any third-party service provider to buy or sell any securities or other financial instruments whatsoever.
Hey everyone, it is me. We are here. Joseph is here too. Say hi, Joseph.
Hey, what's up?
Boom, boom, boom. We're recording.
Good morning, everyone. Hey everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Hey everyone. Hey everyone.
I am recording this on the computer now.
Hey everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Hey everyone. Hey everyone.
Boom. All right. It says it's recording. Boom, 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 boom. I am apparently recording.
The entire bottle of control. They're all exactly the same.
Crypto art, and then what it really is an NFT.
Wow.
Eddie wants to slap the bag.
So this is the next best thing.
DeFi is going to be a bubble.
It's provably scarce.
With Mad Dog.
Crypto, gold, and silver.
Transparent substance.
Take my money, start a war with it.
Without further ado,
Cheers to you, brother.
get shit done.
Because the system has to collapse before that.
My Corona. Cheers. I feel much better now.
Cheers.
Wow, that was heavy.
Boom. What's happening? Isaiah, great to see you, man. I pulled the move, for those of you behind, watching on the stream, I pulled the move where I just went, fuck it. And I just hit the thing to start while I, was hoping Isaiah would hop on to the backstage area and, timing. Cheers.
Cheers, brother.
No.
Yep, and I believe last time I brought the Cabernet out too. So
oh, all right. I went super easy today. I just grabbed a beer from the fridge. Normally I fix myself a cocktail or something. I'm just seeing what you said in the private chat. No worries. So everyone, blockchain and booze number 139. Happy holidays to everyone. Everyone in the chat is talking about Thanksgiving and the holidays and all that stuff. Before we begin, I want to give some love to Lunar Crush. Thank you for streaming this and giving us all the love. Blockchain Radio for syndicating this after the fact, and all you guys for participating. I'm gonna show a few of you guys some of the pictures and share the galleries from LA Blockchain Summit 2 today. There's lots of things to talk about, but first, how's it going, man?
Going great, man.
Welcome back.
Yeah, glad to be back. Second appearance, and yes, it's been good celebrating the week leading up to Thanksgiving. So it's all good, brother. All good.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. It's weird. I've been in this like half online, half offline mode. I don't know, I keep going between this zoom in or zoom out, but in this half online, offline mode because my kids are off this whole week. But there's just so much shit going on in our space and there's so much work to do. So I'm like, on the couch on my laptop while everyone's running around and getting work done. And then an hour ago, I was like, oh shit, blockchain boost tonight. So it's a lot of fun. I'm excited. I think a lot of the community is stoked. I think we're just like, there's just so much shit right now, right? Like
there's no vacations in this space. I haven't had a vacation in years. I don't even know what that feels like.
No, it is funny when people talk about it, like going somewhere for the weekend or doing something because like that's totally true. There's no sleep in our space. And then, on top of it, all this shit goes down, right? And it's bonkers. Like, so just a total random thing. And I know a lot of our community members might be into this. Like literally a minute before I hopped on to Blockchain and Booze, I start seeing everything blowing up on Twitter because of ApeCoin. I don't know if you're in that community. You're a Bitcoiner.
I've heard of ApeCoin, but I didn't know something blew up recently.
It's with nothing really blew up other than the social media because they're part of them launching their token and all this stuff is there's going to be staking for people to go and stake their tokens. And like 5 minutes ago, their partner who you had launching the staking contract put some like a thread with some bullet points and some things. And the last thing in that thread was here are the countries where we're going to be geo-blocking because we're scared regulation-wise for you to participate. And it was started with USA and Canada. Then it started getting into like North Korea and Iran. And then, maybe because I'm in America, I have an American education, started listing countries where I don't even know where they are on the map, right? But the thing that's really nutty about the whole thing is they're trying to save themselves from regulatory issues, and they're blocking, at least geo-blocking, which is kind of bullshit, right? Like every person who can spend 5 minutes on the computer knows how to circumvent that, but they're geo-blocking US citizens, right? And all they're going to do, and I know I'm going down this rabbit hole right now, and I started going down the Twitter thread, but we'll get to Bitcoin, and I know there's a lot we have to talk about separate, but all they're going to do is stop US citizens who want to obey the law and who are scared to break the law from participating. And everyone else in the world can participate. And anyone who wants to break the rules or push the boundaries a little bit will get to participate. So, and of course, criminals will keep participating because they don't give a shit. They'd break the rules even if the rules existed and they were proper. But the only people being punished are the good, normal American people who want to participate, right? And who are like, oh shit, this isn't for me. I don't want to get in trouble. Like people are already posting memes like the next Ape Fest is going to be it's going to look like this. It was like showing pictures of people hanging out in prison and stuff, right? Like that's not really true. Yeah. But at the same time, the only people who are being protected from this opportunity are Americans, right? It's bonkers, and this is the space we're in. So here's time. The American way. It is funny. It reminded me of we're talking about diversity and inclusion, and he couldn't make it today. He had a last minute trip to Europe, actually, totally a random thing. But one of my good friends and a venture partner at DGH, who is now in our space with us, is Rodney Sampson, and I met him like 10 years ago. He was the director of diversity for Shark Tank. So anytime there's like a diversity and inclusion talk, I bring him in. And we had a fireside chat one time at some event. He asked me to do it with him. And we talked about how this space, lets everyone participate. And the idea is that like a smart contract or Bitcoin or whatever can't discriminate. And even if the people who run it want to, they can't, right? Like it's part of the technology, and we're talking about it and this and that. And I talked about crowdfunding and like why I got into it originally. And I said, one of the main reasons I got into it was because I thought the rules and laws for accredited investors and things like that were like completely un-American to like the American dream that I thought of. And then he's like, wait, stop. He's like, from my perspective, this is the most American thing ever, right? Because, obvious reasons, right? Yep. So it's such a funny thing though, because I was born here and stuff, but my parents are immigrants. They came here because it's supposed to be this place of opportunity where everyone has opportunity, everyone has access. And when I found out, like, wait, if Isaiah starts a company and he tells me about it, and I'm not a millionaire, I'm not allowed to invest in his company.
Crazy.
That's fucking insane.
That's crazy, right?
It's crazy. So, all right, let's jump into the real topic. That's kind of a segue. But Pamela, by the way, in the chat, hey Pamela, she was awesome. She hung out with us at LA Blockchain Summit. She said she read Bitcoin in Black America. Nice. Isaiah, I just kind of jumped in. Why don't you give everyone a quick intro to you? What brought you to the space? Maybe a plug for Bitcoin in Black America. Actually, like this because I know you have the poster in the background.
Oh yeah. So as you can see, my name is Isaiah Jackson, author of Bitcoin in Black America, Bitcoin in Black America 2, coming out very soon. And I've been in this space almost 10 years now. It'll be 10 years next year. So for everybody that's been in
that is
decades,
crazy early.
It's gone so fast. I mean, like people say, whenever you're having fun, time flies. So seeing how much this space has progressed, I'm also the co-host of the Gentleman of Crypto, one of the longest running shows in crypto history. We're on Monday through Friday. We have over 1,000 episodes. So I get to see the news every day, see everything happening. And it's crazy because if you miss a couple days, you feel like you've missed a couple months. Sometimes, I mean, it's
crazy.
ridiculous how much can happen. And you know, the old meme, like if you went to a coma and you woke up 2 weeks later, you would be like, oh yeah, so how's everything going? Imagine that, you know, 2 weeks ago before the FTX drama. You would have basically said, man, I can't believe the space is that erratic. But hey, this is the Wild West, and it's been great so far. Cheers to everybody that's lasted that long. Mm-hmm. Because
So
a lot of people have come and gone. So I've just
that's the thing too, right? Like I just had a talk today with a media company that came to the summit. I thanked them for coming. They created this awesome content, and we started talking about like previous summits in previous years. And this LA Blockchain Summit was, you know, a little weird, right? This market was weird. If it happened 6 months ago, it would have been a completely different event. Right. But for us and what we do, it was incredibly valuable. And I think back to 2018, market dumps after Bitcoin got to $20,000, right? 21,000, whatever it was, that peak. And then it dumps and everything gets kind of quiet and there's crickets and it's weird. And we had Steve Wozniak speak at our event. So the room was like packed during Woz. And then because we didn't, you know, we should have known better, but you know, when you're an event organizer, whatever, and you're still learning, you make these rookie mistakes. Like we put like 1,200 seats in the room, right? So the room was packed for Woz, and the whole rest of the event, when there's like 300 people, the room feels empty, right? But if you're in a room that was tiny with 300 people, you'd be stoked, right? It would be really cool. So, you know, there's all these things, but what's crazy is I remember looking around the room and we were like pulling teeth to get sponsors for the event and people. But you start looking around at the people participating at that time. Those are the people who today are like some of the greatest companies, some of the greatest players in the space. Yeah. And now we've gone through this cycle.
Was that 2018 or 2019?
Yeah, 2018.
I was there. Yeah, I was there. Yeah, I remember. Matter of fact, Peter McCormick. I remember talking with him. Yeah, and like
Peter was there.
It's kind of weird in a bear market. Everybody's kind of, you know, laying low, and I'm out there like, yeah, I mean, because I'm here to stay, so I don't really care about price, but yeah, it was a weird time, and it's great. You know, I got to see. I think I saw you there briefly. You might have been running around, but
I'm running aroround like a madman. It kind of sucks, actually. I joke about this because, like, at my own event, like I go to other people's events, and it's like really fun. Yeah. I get to hang with people. I like have a beer with someone and relax. I go to our events, and I'm just running around like a madman. I like, you know, I look back on it, and I literally talked to somebody today. I'm like, I hung out with you like after one of the nights. We had a beer together. We were all having dinner, whatever. But I don't think I have a single picture with you from the event. We were both suited up. Like we should have had a picture or something. And it never happened, right? Like there's all these funny things. But this event, you know, the cool thing about it was there was just a different vibe. We kind of purposely made it a different vibe from the beginning. We didn't try to pump things up. You know, in previous years, right? We go to partners, we go to people, we go to guys like you, we go to Peter McCormick, we go to everyone and go like, here's a free ticket code for like 100 free tickets, right? Give it away on your show. And then all of a sudden, like half of the attendee list are people who got free tickets. And it creates like some excitement, and there's like a good crowd of people at least show up day one, like first half of the day, but then they kind of vanish off, and they're not like the diehards. They're the looky-loos who wanted to come. This year we did it a little different. We made tickets cheap, but we essentially made you pay your way in. And the reason we did that, well, not everyone. If there was a good reason why you can't afford a ticket, I'm never the dude who will say no. So like everyone knows, like they DM me and I'll call some of my friends on their bullshit, but mostly not. I just give everyone who tells me if you can't afford a ticket, you can always get in, right? But it was just a different vibe, different people. We had a really great time, and you know it's the people that are here to stay, right? So it's really fun, and I don't know, it's, you know, talking the FTX drama, all this stuff. What's crazy about it is like I get a message from my brother, right, who's like a wealth manager, and he goes, "Is this stuff affecting you? What's going on?" And you want to say no, but it is because of the perception of the industry.
Right.
But Bitcoin is still Bitcoin. Nothing happened, right? Most of the things that, you know, if you believe in Ethereum and what's going on there, Ethereum is still doing its thing. Not a single thing in this case was hacked. I mean, the regulatory environment was hacked, maybe. but this was a criminal, right? It just so happens this criminal is in our space and completely fucked it for some of the rest of us, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically made Thanksgiving harder for all of us.
Yeah. How do you explain this to your family at the dinner table? If I'm sure you're gonna get punched in the arm by at least 3 cousins, right? Like how how do you explain it?
Yeah, well, I think the best part is that throughout my career, I've always tried to make let's see how we put it, the distinction between companies and people and the actual protocol and the actual technology. So I think I've done a good job of that in my family. I don't know about everybody else, but sometimes they can get conflated because when they watch the news, they're like, the whole crypto market, all of it is gone. And you're like, no, this is one company or a few companies that messed up. And these are individual people, but the code is still working. Again, like you said, TikTok, next block, nothing has happened.
But that's the thing is, you read those headlines, right? And you start going like, nothing happened to crypto, but the headlines will be like, crypto broke, essentially, right? Like crypto is dead. Crypto is this. Wait, no.
Yeah, and I even joked about that. I even tweeted like, "Crypto is dead." It's like, no, you're wrong, Grandma. Like, calm down. That's not what it is. But it is interesting to see this bear market. How many people are actually not scared? I mean, there are a few, newbies that are like, "Oh, what's happening?" But most people I've talked to are kind of like, "Well, at this point, we know it's here to stay. So this is all just part of the market." So I think you have even more hardened Bitcoin and crypto people.
I think there's also these things too. And I think that some of us are real crypto people who like really appreciate it and love the space.
Oh, yeah.
And then there is, I mean, you can, that's right. There is, by the way, my hat looks like every punk hat I grew up with, but this is actually my Punk Ape Strong's logo. So it's there's always some kind of ridiculous merch. That's right. James just said it's bargain shopping time, and that's true. And what's interesting is like I start doing these things because like the market likes, and our friends and sometimes us like to cheer when like Fidelity goes like, we're allowing our customers to buy crypto and this and that. And allowing their customers to buy crypto is one thing. Them buying crypto is another thing. But like on one hand, the institutions are the reason why we're in crypto, right? Like we almost like the reason we do crypto is because we're hoping that the likes of them are gone at some point, or they have to compete so hard they don't look like who they are today ever again, right? And so like on one hand, you're cheering on these people who are kind of your sworn enemy, right? Like for adopting the thing that you like. But there's this idea, I keep thinking in my head, right? Like we know, I mean, this whole thing is just all inside baseball, insider trading, inside bullshit, right? Like there's, it's really easy for politicians to look the other way when the person who's giving them millions and millions of dollars stole that money to give to them, right? Like it's really messed up, and we'll see kind of how it all shakes out, and eventually we'll know actually the truth and what's going on. But it's a lot of things, but like I don't know. But so where I'm getting at is a part of me goes, at what point do those institutions who know 1,000,000% it's not dead, it's not dead today, it wasn't dead last time, it's not going to be dead the next time this happens, and certain tokens maybe will die just like certain startups die, but I mean that's a separate thing. But Bitcoin, let's just talk about Bitcoin for a minute. Bitcoin is going to outlive us all,
right?
And at least that's how we believe and feel, and I think the financial institutions believe that too. At least they're acting like they believe it. And at what point does Fidelity, or one of these large banks announce that they bought Bitcoin at this price, and then they turn on their whole simple buying for Bitcoin, or through their obfuscated bullshit, like allow their customers to buy Bitcoin and pump it completely, right? Like it's a matter of time, right? Like
right.
I'm trying to be not cynical, but I'm being cynical at the same time.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think you can kind of read between the lines with Elizabeth Warren and a few other politicians saying, hey, Fidelity should stop their Bitcoin offering. I think that's sort of, if you read between the lines, there's a reason they want to stop it, because they understand we might be near the bottom of the market. And if they offer this product at the bottom of the market and have a huge gain over the next year or two, you're basically going to have consistent buying for the next few years leading up to the halving of 2024 and then even beyond that. So I think, it is funny. We did it to move away from institutions, but I think what's happening now is that at the very least, we're creating competition so that they have to be better. And even with the FTX crash, one thing I like to do is put it in perspective. Think about 2008. The Lehman Brothers crash almost brought down the world market, like the entire world. Like it almost brought down our banking system, which would have brought down everybody else. So you have to think FTX didn't bring down the world. I mean, it brought down, a few people, major players who had, crypto there. And I think some of the people who over leverage, they'll learn their lesson. But it basically keeps us churning even harder because the resiliency should be studied in history books forever. The fact that it's still here, it should be gone. Yeah, I mean, and I even argue that Mt. Gox was worse.
It was at a time when it was like
scary.
the only exchange,
scary.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that's wild, if you think about it compared to the 2008 and stuff, and I've talked about this with the Blockchain Boost crew. I was working, maybe making $8.50 an hour, $9 an hour at Countrywide. Right, pre the financial crisis. Yeah. And I was being sold mortgages by a dude whose job it was to sell mortgages to employees of Countrywide. He knew how much I made, I'm assuming, and knew I couldn't afford the mortgage. And he was trying to sell me mortgage on like a condo that like was something I would never have been able to afford at the time. Right. And so the market was propped up on a lot of bullshit at the time. and today it is too in different ways, but it's the thing that's crazy about all of this, I mean, it's similar to the financial crisis, except for the financial crisis created all sorts of stimuluses and all sorts of bailouts and things like that. But in this case, the people who are really fucked are the people who are watching football Sunday, who are hanging out at their house going, Tom Brady buys his crypto on FTX. I'm going to buy my $100 of Bitcoin, $1,000 of Bitcoin on this one exchange, and they're going to leave it there. Those are the people who got screwed. Right. And that's what's crazy is that if Elizabeth Warren is who she says she is, she will find a way to bail out that person. She could let all the rest fucking fry, and I don't care. And they should let them all go to jail, and let's see what happens, because that those people, the people in, at least the FTX people in charge, gave a lot of money to her friends. Let's see if she puts them in jail, and I hope she does. But I think we need to find a way to make the people whole, because their inaction as regulators are what screwed those people. Now, I don't believe in them and their shit. I would rather every single person have transacted on a decentralized exchange, not use them at all. But they did. And it's the same thing. Like if my friend, I don't know, goes to Target and gets scammed $1,000 by Target, I want the government or whoever's in charge of making sure Target follows the rules to come in there and help them and take care of them, right?
Right. And I just hate to see the hypocrisy, because on one hand, you can't say, we're going to come in and regulate and make sure everybody's safe. So we're going to sue Ripple. We're going to, take down, library tokens. Like, they're going after like small fish, and it's like, but you didn't even look at FTX at all. Like there was nothing there because we've been saying it on our show. We've been saying it for about the last year. We were always skeptical because he came out of nowhere. He literally came out of nowhere, had the second biggest exchange in less than a year or two. And it just always rubbed me the wrong way. And he was throwing so much money around. I was like, this seems like the textbook thing you would do.
Trading and all
exactly. That. Seems like the textbook thing you would do if you have something nefarious going on in the background because you want to get in good graces. And
you've always been a huge proponent, right? Like everyone knows if you follow Isaiah on Twitter, no, not your keys, not your cheese, right?
No keys, no cheese. I say it all the time.
No keys, no cheese. So
I'm just being proven right at this point.
I hope your listeners have been or your followers and people who listen to your show have actually listened, right? And done that. But also I want to throw out again, I think I mentioned this on a previous show to everyone in the community, like now's not the time to dunk on your friends who did get fucked, right? Like they learned their lesson. Okay?
Yeah. I feel bad for retail. And that's the thing. I'm not a I told you so type person. I want to let you know before type person. Like listen now, and it can save you a lot of trouble because you have people who they're, full-time traders. They may have to keep it on the exchange or whatever, keeping the stable coins. But for most people, you're not a trader. Get it off exchange. Learn how to self-custody. Learn about decentralized applications or decentralized exchanges. Because when things like this happen, you're right. The only people that get messed over are the retail people. And it sucks because you're right. It's the everyday dude that's going to be sitting on the couch watching football tomorrow, thinking about the fact that, man, I just lost $1,000 in this crypto stuff.
And $1,000 to the average American is their whole savings account. And so that's the thing. And it could be $100 for somebody is just as important as $2,000 for someone else. But like, that's the people who are screwed the most here. Yeah. All the rest is like headlines and bullshit. Yeah. And it's like, ooh, his mom bought $120 million worth of real estate in the Bahamas. And you're like, she's a professor. Like, I bet she does. It's like Stanford or Harvard or something. She probably does make a lot of money compared to the average American. Right. But a professor doesn't buy $120 million worth of real estate in 1 year.
Not at all.
Something's fucked. Like something is wrong here.
Yeah. And you would think that as far as prosecute, nobody's been arrested. That's the crazy thing is they have.
He's speaking at the New York Times business thing. It says Mark Zuckerberg and him speaking on stage. Like,
what, Alan? Let me ask you: have you please tell me you read these puff pieces they've written about him and Caroline? These have got to be the biggest puff pieces I've ever seen. They were just nerds that just messed up, and they just happened to. It's like no, they committed crimes. This fraud.
If this dude looked like I don't know. That's the funny thing. Like I literally joked about this today, but he looks like your nerdy friend from college who was the computer programmer of the crew, right? He looks like that guy. It's how quaint. He sleeps on a beanbag in his mansion in the Bahamas. Yeah. Like whatever, all this BS, like it's so surface, but it also like falls right into this whole trap of sort of just like surface bullshit journalism that doesn't really do anything. It just makes a headline. And it's like, ooh, this guy is, he's an
effective altruist who just wanted to give all his money away. And it's like,
and all these things about he's a billionaire that's donating all of his money.
Like, all away. Well, he was successful. He gave it all away.
Gave away. Yeah.
But I was in computer science. That's what my major was in. So I actually was in college with a lot of guys that were like SBF. They were dudes who would code all night. They slept on beanbags, slept on couches. They were really focused on what they did. The difference was they didn't hide behind this whatever character he made up that I'm this nice guy who's making billions to give away. They were like, no, I'm in this to make money.
Yeah,
I trust them more than the guy that's like
drinking Mountain Dew, playing video games. We're gonna make money together.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I've basically grown up in college with dudes like that. I worked with it when I was in the IT field. So I've seen guys like that, but I trust the guy who's like, yeah, I'm in this to make money. Cool. All right. I know why you're here. But if you're telling me you're doing all this to give it away, every single red flag in my head went off when I heard that.
Especially if you're here. Okay. Here's the thing. There is there's like, okay, you're in the Bahamas. Not a bad place to be, right? But if you're an American, you're launching a crypto exchange and you're starting, you do have an offshore one and you have an onshore one, you have this and you have that. You don't necessarily need to be offshore. You have to do things like I talk to people who pitch to me all day long. They want me to invest in their company. Right. And I meet Americans all the time. And I'll meet an American and I always ask them where they are because I want to know, because sometimes they'll talk to someone that have like a Midwest accent or they'll sound like they're in Texas or something. They're like, where are you? I'm in Singapore. I'm in Thailand. I'm in this place. Wow. And I think some of them genuinely are there because they're scared of US regulation. Mm-hmm. And then I think a lot of people are there because they're doing shady ass shit and they want to be there. Yeah. And you have to be able to differentiate between the two.
Right.
And I feel like the biggest professional investors need to know that, but it's also easy to get sucked into the like, I invest at this price, tomorrow it's going to be at this other price and this thing. And it's kind of this similar short term. It's probably a lot of what our Bitcoiner friends hate about the sort of the token world, the crypto world, right? Where there isn't enough substance to justify the changes in prices and a lot of people playing games, right?
Not yet.
He just schooled all those investors. But I mean, it came back to them.
Yeah. And that's the thing. They were the smart guys in the room. And of course, sometimes they get fooled as well. And it's funny, like you get pitched companies all the time. Later, I'll talk to you later, Alan. We'll pitch a company to you. American born, American made. I got a company for you. That what I'm working on now. But
it's not even the thing is like, So we invest in companies around the world. We talk to people all over the world, and I don't care, right? But it bothers me when we do things like, look, I live in California, and I am as insanely liberal as it gets with almost all things, in terms of like social stuff, right? Like, do whatever the fuck you want, live however the fuck you want, do whatever. It's that's your life. You don't affect me. It doesn't matter. And I want everyone and we should, we haven't even gotten to the diversity topic and the whole thing. Like we were talking about, sort of scratched it, but like we look at the politicians in California and how they push people away. And what's crazy is that startups and small businesses, and right now crypto is one of those industries that are one of the most promising industries for startups and small businesses who want to start and do things. They are the number one driver of creating new jobs in our country. Wow. And every single person who wants to start a company is a person who's going to, they might fail, but they're going to create jobs, especially if they raise money, right? And these politicians say they want to solve the homeless issue. They want to solve all these problems here, right? And they want to raise taxes so that like we can pay for all their bureaucracy. But if they actually say they want what they actually want, they should want people to stay here, create the jobs here, and do things. Like I have no problem if you're I actually love if you're anywhere else in the world, you're starting a company and you're especially in this space because there are no barriers to entry in terms of that whole thing. Like that's one of the beauties of this technology, borderless. But it drives me nuts when Americans are scared to do the American dream. Like, weren't we taught the American dream? Like,
that's what we're taught, right?
It's
people risk their life to come here to have, a better chance at starting a company, to running a business, to creating generational wealth. The work you put in, you get out. That's what this was about. But it does suck that America is looked at as a negative place to start a company. Because you're right. I've talked to some people that it's reversed. Like if you say you start in America, they're like, why would you do that? You're going to have to go through this, and that. And especially if you're any sort of crypto, fintech company, it's going to be very hard for you. But one thing that I've started to see is that a lot of people who are starting companies in America are starting to push towards DC and towards Congress to basically get some sort of clarity about how things are supposed to go. Because we've still been in this gray area for years. I mean, there is regulations in place, but for a lot of things, like, for example, if you were library tokens and the SEC just fined you all this money, how would it look when FTX basically showed they lost $32 billion of customer funds and nobody's been arrested? It's like, it's still a gray area, and that's what makes
like that's that offensive part of like the accredited investor rules. Like, for example, I shouldn't say DGH invested in a organization, a company / DAO kind of situation, and the SEC shut it down. We lost the money that we had in them. We held all the tokens. We purposely never sold a single one, like never, along with we stayed side by side with the people who got screwed.
Right.
Now, the only thing in the investigation that happened, nobody got in trouble. They only got fines. The only thing they really found was that they broke accredited investor laws and securities laws. Now, the money that the company had, which was more money than they actually raised, was not a single person lost money in terms of the product, and nobody was defrauded. It was found, and that's after their investigation. But the government, I think like 2 years later now, is still holding I don't know the exact number because nobody's telling anyone, like $10 or $12 million that the company had. The government, whose job it is to protect us, is holding it. And I get messages, DMs from people going, what happened with this thing? What happened with this thing? What happened with this thing? And I'm like, I don't know. We're all still waiting, just like you. And how insane is it if again, and this was, again, we're talking about, they raised a few $1 million. Now we're talking about FTX. Nobody arrested, nobody fined, nobody stopped. But you protected people from investing in this product that nobody got scammed out of, nobody got in trouble for, and you're holding the money and keeping it from the person, right? Like you took money away from me and you're holding on to it, and you're just going like, well, we're still deciding how we'll distribute it. It's like me going, I stole $50 from you. I have it right here in my wallet, but I haven't decided how I'm going to give it back. So wait a while.
Yeah, exactly. And it's crazy because they're treating people like kids at this point. And
Yeah.
I've always leaned towards self-regulation, that we can figure it out at a certain
Yeah.
point. You know, we get the bad actors out. And the main thing with regulation is, look, stay consistent. That's all I want to say. If you have a complete hands-off approach, cool, let's keep it that way, and then we'll see what happens. But if you are kind of regulating, but then on the other hand, you're not, I mean, that's something that has to be worked out. And you're right. If Elizabeth Warren is doing what she says she's doing, and other people in her party, this should be something that they have to look at internally and, you know, clean up their own mess in their own ranks, because this is, I mean, this is unprecedented to see this level of fraud and this level of you know, manipulation that was taking place, and how many people were affected. I mean, they had their name on the stadium of the Miami Heat. That's great. Like, just to see the pictures of the construction pulling it down.
Yeah, the crypto city, Miami.
I've never seen that in my life. I've never seen a company go down and they have to pull it
Dude,
off.
that fast. It must have been like, there's Miami Heat, the stadium, the people wanted no association immediately. Can you like? I've never seen that before. Like, think about that. Like, there's
never heard of that.
Think, you know, how many years into, I don't know, probably a year, 2, 3 into crypto.com arena, people still say Staples Center, right? Like FTX, like boom, gone. Like it doesn't exist. It never existed.
Yeah, they might as well change it to Binance.com now, because
it's bonkers. I did say it would be really funny if somebody like somehow was able to put like a giant flat screen or some kind of changeable sign at the top, and got together like an organization or a DAO, or maybe like the creditors, the people that actually, if FTX paid for it, maybe the depositors at FTX should start voting what the naming rights of the arena should be. And maybe every week it can change, you know?
Yeah. Just add that into the package. Like, hey, we can't give you back your money, but we can put your name on the stadium for a week.
That's right. And Coop in the chat just said FTX was involved in an F1 car also. All these things. I mean, I hate this stuff in general. I talk trash about it all the time because it's like, we're supposed to be, you know, it's one thing. I go back and forth because what drives me nuts is when some of the protocols and some of the crypto products that have no consumer connection are spending like money on F1 cars and things like that, and it's confusing to me. I'm like you know, you're trying to, it makes it feel like you're trying to pump like a token, right? And then you get all the negative connotations that go along with that. Versus I get FTX goes, okay, everybody else is doing Super Bowl ads, we got to do Super Bowl ads, we're gonna, you know, sponsor Major League Baseball, this and that. But you know,
and let's talk a little bit about that, because Steph Curry, Shaq, Larry David, my man, I love Larry David to death. It was so hilarious to see his commercial and see it basically come true. But these celebrities, I just want people to understand, stop holding them accountable for the mistakes of the exchange. They literally have a manager, they have lawyers, they just hand them, they have, you know, handlers that hand them the script, so they're paying you this amount. Just say what the script says. And I remember an old interview, I forgot who it was. I think it was Dave Chappelle, where he said, I'll do a commercial for Coke and Pepsi. I don't care. I'm just a dude trying to make some money. And I can guarantee you, if you asked any of them about crypto, they couldn't, you know, they really couldn't describe what they were even talking about. But
the same, it's crazy. Unless it's Tom Brady. Fuck that guy. No, I'm just kidding.
Some people just don't like Tom Brady. So
I was messing around. I feel like we have to. Kevin just said, don't blame the Flintstones for Winston cigarette ads. That's funny. That's a deep pull, Kevin. But like it's crazy, especially when we talk about, I know it's, I feel like I'll go down this rabbit hole and then I just keep shitting on the regulators, but it's kind of the world we're in. But like Gary Gensler does TikTok videos and promotes this thing because freaking what's her Kim Kardashian gets paid $1 million for something that she disclosed was an ad.
Yeah.
Right. And she gets fined $1 million. Maybe she made $1 million. Maybe she lost money on that deal now that she got fined $1 million. Whatever the hell that is, right? Gary Gensler spent time and effort promoting the fact that they screwed her, right? Or that they fined her. Now, that same week, the SEC fined, I think it was a few $100 million to a bank that defrauded its customers. They never wrote a press release about it. Gary Gensler never made a public statement about it. And the only reason I knew about it is because I happened to talk to a securities attorney that's like a buddy of mine that he was going to come out to the summit. We had a call and he's like, can you believe that this happened? And I was like, wait, what happened? And he was like, and he shared with me some SEC filing document talking about a bank that was fined for. I talked about it on the show and I gave people some details, and now I don't remember the specifics because it happens so often, right? Like you find out about Wells Fargo and this and that, and they're fined in the billions of dollars or hundreds of millions every year.
Mm-hmm. Never hear of people. And that's one thing I think people don't understand is that all of these banks, they have this. I wrote about this in Bitcoin in Black America too. Is that all of these banks have hundreds of $millions of fines every year. We're not talking about overall. We're talking about every year. Yeah. You basically just take the hit. Hey, if this is going to cost me $100 million, let's make $10 billion off of it, or make $5 billion, whatever it is. And they just take the hit. SEC gets their money, and it's just a continual thing. And it sucks because they are literally too big to fail at this point because they made them that way with the bailouts. I mean, if this was actually free market capitalism, a lot of these banks wouldn't even exist.
How insane is it though that the SEC, like on one hand, fine the shit out of them, right? They defraud people, fine them, right? So, but the money goes to the SEC, and it goes into this. I don't even know. It goes into this whole bureaucracy, and like, shouldn't the people that got defrauded get a piece of that? It's like there's class action lawsuits. You get those things in the mail, like you're all getting $4 from AT&T because they overcharged everyone, whatever, right? Like, where is this when it comes to Wells Fargo defrauding me? It pays for more SEC employees that I genuinely don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know either. And I think it goes, towards the organization. They can have wine on tap. I guess they can take more vacations. People get bigger bonuses. I don't know what happens with the money, but I do know that when it's taken, you don't hear about it ever again. You've seen a lot of money that's been taken from these companies where they've been sued, and like Ethereum Max, they took $1 million. Where's that $1 million at? It's not going back to taxpayers, not going back to investors, it's not going back to Kim Kardashian. So we don't know where it's at, but it is interesting that they are going after certain projects and not others. I mean, come on, man. We got to keep it consistent.
Yeah, if that's I think the biggest problem with everything, right? Like I think we all, at least maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but I think in general, if we're driven to this industry, it was for a certain reason. And the thing that drives most of us nuts is not, like you said, if somebody says I'm here for the money, if somebody says I'm screwing people because that's how I make money, if somebody says whatever, it's like the part of us, like the spidey sense or that thing in the back of our head that really gets us mad is when the hypocrisy and somebody lying, right? Like it's because we know, like, come on, with politicians and things like that, right? Like it's such a, like, again, at the end of the day, when somebody, there's like this, it's like stupid or liar. Like, are you really that dumb or are you lying to us? And that most of these politicians, if you're a congressman, if you're a senator, if you're on the Financial Services Committee in the House Judiciary, whatever the fuck, if you're in these committees, you're not an idiot. You didn't get there because you somehow like fell into it. Like it was like the fun George W. Bush thing. Like, oh, he's just like your dumb uncle that you have a beer with. Like, he's not a fucking idiot. Like, it's a game. It's part of the persona, right? And when you go up on stage and you say that crypto is only used by criminals and this and that, but at the same time, the FBI, the CIA, and every single law enforcement agency says we'd rather the criminals use crypto than US dollars. Like, what's the truth, right? Like,
you can't have it both ways. And that's the thing too, is every time somebody brings that up, I always remind them that they actually would rather you use crypto because they can actually trace it. They have companies that have the ability to trace the blockchain. And I'm like, cash is still king. That's the only private way to transact right now. Everything else, they would love for you to use it. So it is crazy when they put that. And then the stats come out and say, oh yeah, only 1.4% of all crypto activity is used for illicit activity. You're like, what are we even talking about here? Like, it gets annoying, but after a while, you start to ignore it. The problem is the new people. Like you said, new people read the headlines. They see what's going on with crypto. They may be interested, but that may push them away just based off of these headlines and bad press. Hopefully it's not too many people that believe everything they read in the news, because I think the next bull cycle is going to be one for the ages. And most people, I don't want them to feel like, oh well, I can't be in this market because of a couple bad actors. It's like, no. That shouldn't keep you from your own freedom.
Yeah. Speaking of that, so and maybe there is I joked earlier. I said something about like us. We're in this space and we're in a way punishing ourselves by being in it, and maybe there's like a part of the us that likes the drama and the whatever. And you had some drama a few weeks ago, and by now it's kind of like already over, just like the news cycle and whatever. It's kind of bullshit, and you've already addressed it 18,000 times. There really isn't too much to go in, but I do want to give you a chance to say something like maybe you just set it up, because part of the reason why I thought it was interesting is we've had a couple people, right? We've done 100, what the hell was it? 139 of these. And we open the chats up, right? And by the way, in about 10 minutes, when we're done, 15 minutes when we're done, I'm never really on time. You can go to meet.blockchain or just blockchainbooze.io. It'll redirect you. Anybody who wants to, who's watching this on one of the streams can go there. You can be in the chat. You'll be able to turn on your camera and do whatever the fuck you want, hang out with everyone. And we've had people start companies in that chat, make friends in that chat. I've invested in companies who the people met in those chats and talking to each other. It's fucking awesome. And we love it. And partly because we basically planted a flag and gave everyone a town hall in a hangout area. We didn't know that after what we thought would be 2 weeks of lockdown, we'd be going 2+ years later. But it's awesome and it's fun and we're getting to hang out with our friends. Right. But we've had people, say shit and do shit. And we've had to go like, bro, you can't talk like that. That's disrespectful. That's this. Or we've kicked some people out because they were shitty. And our stance, at least my personal stance, is this place is for everyone. Like this industry everyone should feel like they have a place here.
Right.
And everyone should, and my feelings are that the leadership in the space especially should be very open, very honest, and inclusive of everyone participating, right? And that's how I feel, right? And so I want to when you come into my home, you got to be that way. You treat people with disrespect, I'll kick your ass out. Just like you come into my home, you treat someone the same way. Right. And so that's how I feel here. That's how I run it here. And that's my business because it's my home, right?
Right.
And that's the beauty of this space. And so what was interesting is you kind of got some flack. CoinDesk had some problems with what you said, and you said something stupid. I'll say you said, but then I read your responses to it before I even saw the thing. So I'll let you just give a moment to say something about it. And by the way, everyone knows in this community, if you think I'm letting Isaiah slide or not calling him on shit or whatever, you can come up on stage too. You can give me shit. We'll have Isaiah back. The reason why I called him, I messaged him to be on here, was because there's so much bullshit in our space. There's so many people who say stupid shit or do stupid shit, or there's hate in this world. Like there's fucked up people, right? Like there are literally like Nazis who sometimes like a few miles from my house will go on the freeway overpass once every couple of weeks. And those fuckers are a bunch of pussies. They wear masks.
Ridiculous.
They don't show their face. Yeah. And so, somebody who says something stupid and then apologizes for it and says, hey, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere and you can talk to me about it. I want that person to come over and answer for their shit. And then let's move on. It's like a family member, saying something stupid at the dinner table. You hug it out at the end, you give them a kiss, and you see them next week.
Oh yeah. And that's one thing, the controversy that happened was CoinDesk. They fired me from the show Community Crypto I was doing. I put out a tweet, look at the religious affiliation of everybody involved with FTX. Kanye was right. I said it in jest. It literally, to me, I thought it was based on the stereotype everybody thinks that Jewish people run the banking industry. I thought it was just a joke and jest. It went way further than I would have imagined. And I got fired on my day off, which is hilarious to me. It was literally Veterans Day. But they called me like 2 hours later. They said they wanted to discontinue the show. And my biggest thing was I said, okay, well, whoever is hurt or harmed, tell them to talk to me directly and we can, speak it out. And I also did a 5-hour spaces on Twitter. That's that exact same night. Like I didn't run away. I didn't say, I'm just going to say it and hide behind. No, because as a man, one thing I was taught growing up is, even though social media exists, I was taught growing up, I'm pretty old school. If you say something, people disagree with it, you should meet those people in person, look them in the eye, and if you disagree, shake hands, walk the other way. There shouldn't be, all of this, whatever. But because Twitter Spaces is a way to reach people at a broader audience, I did it there. I allow people to come on stage, give me, whether they thought it was stupid, dumb, or they, everything anybody wanted to say, I let it happen.
Yeah.
5 hours, literally. I don't think I've ever seen anybody do a 5-hour spaces on something they said and basically explain themselves. Most people just say it and tuck their tail. So that's what happened. Again, like you said, it's kind of forgotten now. That's
the thing. It's like 2 weeks later, hey, it's over. Like it doesn't exist. That's why I even hesitated bringing it up, because I'm like rehashing something. But like I wanted to give you a chance to say something. If anyone still, you know what, like you can go check Isaiah's feed, Bitcoin Zay on Twitter. You can see the things he's said 1,000 times. He talked about it on his podcast, Gentlemen of Crypto, right?
Mm-hmm.
And go check it out. If you have a problem with him still, we'll have him back. I'll let you be up on stage and ask him any questions you want. But like the thing is, I think everyone makes stupid ass jokes. And sometimes the jokes haunt us, right? I
talk for a living, man. I got over 1,000 episodes. I talk regularly internationally. I'm on interviews. I was bound to put my foot in my mouth at some point. My problem is when it happens that everybody gets so up in arms, like I'm a terrible person now, I'm anti-Semitic, you're a racist. And I was like, hold up, wait, everybody that knows me knows that I joke around. And this was just taken too far. And then of course, like you said, if everybody I've invited every single person that DM me. I have like 100 DMs of people. I've invited every single one of them to meet in person. That's how I am. I'll meet people in person anywhere. I travel a lot, so people are usually in the places I am. And even at conferences, I told people, I'll be at Bitcoin conference, I'll be at Consensus, I'll be at most of the big conferences all starting next year. If you want to talk, meet me there. I'm not hiding from anybody.
I love that. And you know what? Like, that was a stupid ass tweet, by the way. I'm just gonna be in public and say it. But the funny thing about it is, like, I guess the only controversy I have in relation to Kanye West is people get mad at me when I talk about how much he sucks. I just don't like him. I don't know. I just don't like the music. I'm not into it. Like, it's not like I don't like that genre of music. I just don't like him. I don't know.
Yeah. And I understand. Anyway, that's what humans are. We're different. And then I don't get why people are so. I guess I do, because this generation is a little, I guess, softer. People, they get irritated real easily. But to me, if somebody doesn't like something and you do like it, that does not mean we don't like each other. Like, that just doesn't.
That's the thing with like the politics and the things like that, right? I literally talked to somebody earlier, and I was like, that person, like, I like listed a whole bunch of shit that they were talking about, their politics and their this and that, and I'm just like, it's fucking crazy, right? Like, I'm so opposed to all those things, and then I was like, but I've called him on his shit, and then he comes right back at me, and we have these like fun arguments, and it feels like, and I guess. This is an interesting thing, right? Like, this is like, I joke about this, and it's partly true. It's partly like a dumb joke, but like, I was raised by Israelis, and so there's nobody that I argue with more than someone I agree with, right? Like, it's like baked into my DNA, right? And so I'm so used to being at the dinner table, hanging out with family, hanging out with random people, fighting with them, like arguing with them, like. Fighting, right? I'm using but then you get up and it's like, it's inconceivable to think like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they said that. I'm never gonna talk to them again. Like, what? That doesn't even that's fucking insane. Like, that's not the world we want to live in. And so
and I do want to say, like, I had a disagreement, something I tweeted a while ago with a guy. We met in Miami, went to a bar, had a beer. 2-hour conversation. We ended up agreeing on everything except that one thing. And that's what I often see sometimes when you talk to people. You agree on most stuff. Most people, regular living life, trying to make money, have kids, have families. You agree on most stuff. The one thing you would disagree on, if you would just talk to people, you would understand they're not these, most people are not on the outskirts of society where they're these extremists that are going crazy. Most people are basically in the middle somewhere. So you can always find that middle ground, and you always usually find out you agree on more than you disagree on. You can move forward, and it's not the end of your life, because again, social media has warped people's mind. Most people wouldn't even know that statement that I made on Twitter. Most people wouldn't even have known it had even existed if Point just didn't fire me. Honestly, I mean, most people would have never seen it, but when they did, now people that woke up just fine were all of a sudden like, oh yeah, no, I hate this person forever. And I'm like, you don't know me at all. I've had people come out and say the crazy. I've been called everything but a child of God. But luckily, when I was in college, I did stand-up comedy, and my family is a whole bunch of, we crack on each other and, like you said, argue a lot.
I mean,
so I'm pretty hard, and you can't really hurt my feelings. So I'm happy it happened to me and not somebody else who was a little bit softer, because I mean,
yeah, but then you know what happens? It's like then people get the bullshit apology kind of thing, and then that stuff sucks. Like when an actor says something, or when somebody's like a legit racist or does something that's like does something, not makes a joke, but does something, like physically does something, hits someone, does something, like punches a woman, and then they like do some like, you know, apology statement publicly. It's like, what the fuck? Like, and that's the thing, right? And so when somebody is real about it, and you know, then you know it's kind of, it's ridiculous. And so I appreciate you doing it. It's really funny actually thinking about that, right? With social media and people even knowing that, like, if you said that, right, in a stupid bar, and then in a bar, right, and your friend punched you and was like not punch you, but like punches you in the arms, like, what the fuck, bro? And then you start having this argument, and then you all laugh about it, and you have a beer together, and it's over in 5 minutes. It was public, right? So like, I have a friend from childhood, one of my best friends is now a park ranger, right? Like, he's up in the Santa Monica mountains, looking at the mountains and whatever. And I asked him, I was like, all these people that I know that live in this one neighborhood are talking about like mountain lions and shit. Like, are there like a lot of mountain lions now and stuff? And he's like, no, there's just a lot of Ring doorbells now. And there's a lot less mountain lions in the mountains, in the Santa Monica mountains in Southern California, than there probably ever were, because of pollution, because of rat poison, because of freeways and everything else, right? Way less. But everyone got Ring doorbells, and now they see a lion literally like walk down the street in front of their house, and every single person in the neighborhood gets sent that video the next morning, right? So everyone's freaked the fuck out, and everyone's like, don't let your kids go outside, there's lions in the, you know, and that's the world we live in right now.
Oh yeah, a lot of outrage over things that are pretty trivial, especially when you look at data and statistics as much as I do. You look at certain stuff, you're like, oh, that's not a big issue, and then some popular person says it out loud, and now it is an issue for some people. So that's the world we live in. Got to adjust. But again, like I said, not hiding anywhere. I'm willing to have conversations with anybody, and this space is for everybody. So of course, as somebody who wrote Bitcoin in Black America, trying to be as inclusive as possible, and basically see Satoshi's vision as well as other crypto visions, happen, because we're going to need everybody for it to exist.
That's right. I'm just reading some of the comments. I want to see if anybody says. I think it's mostly people that agree. I'm just double checking if anyone wants to say something. Crispin said, lions are not trivial. I guess I showed up late. Lions are scary as fuck. You know what's crazy is I grew up in this area, and my whole life I heard of people talk. I love going on hikes and shit. And I'm like, I purposely live in the suburbs because I don't like being in the city. I like going on hikes and being outdoors and whatever. My whole life I heard about mountain lions. Right. And in my mind, I think I was thinking about like bobcats, like that are smaller. And then all of a sudden one day, like once I got to like adulthood, I realized, like, oh no, they're talking about a fucking lion, like a huge lion.
How lions is serious.
It trips me out. Like it was crazy, because in my mind, you know, growing up and whatever, bears too. There are some bears out here. Not really though. Like,
I mean,
that's one of those things too. Jason in the chat just said.
Yeah, hiking in LA, I never saw a fox before.
Yeah,
they have foxes everywhere, like in a lot of the hiking areas. And I was like, man, this is crazy to see them.
Coyotes, that's it.
Coyotes, it's crazy to see. It is what it is, but at the same time, you got to protect yourself, because even if you don't see it often, it only takes one time.
I did not so subtle. I tried to be like a little bit I don't know what the right word, like not poetic, like try to be like very fancy or some shit. I don't know what the right term would be, but I was like going down on a hike one day, and it was like at the right time of year where all of the, like, it was before the weeds and the shit, like all of the brush that's really tall gets knocked over by the wind or whatever. And so it was like really tall brush. And I was like, every time I've come for the last few months, I see coyotes, I might see deer, I might hear, a howl or something like that. But but now the brush is tall. I don't see them anymore, right? Like, and I was trying to like come up with some kind of metaphor, right, for the crypto space or some shit. But that's kind of how it is, right? Like it is pretty wild, and I think that's a good analogy, right? You just said for what just happened, right? Like there's wolves in wolves clothing. There's wolves in sheep's clothing. There's people out there, and that's the whole reason this space exists, right? The transparency and the openness of this space, and we don't have to trust the exchanges, and that's, I think, the lesson we just learned, because maybe Brian from Coinbase just shared a bunch of stuff, and he says we're a public company and like he can show proof. And even when what's his nose Binance CZ just like kind of called him out. He supposedly shared confidentially some stuff, some proof and stuff with CZ, and CZ came out and were like, sorry, he was right. He showed me the proof. It's not what I thought. And so maybe there's for sure good people, and I would bet that the overwhelming majority of people are good.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some bad people, obviously. Sometimes we know who they are, sometimes we don't. But the beauty of this space and the whole reason why we're here is because you don't have to trust it, right? Like you can trust it, you can verify. And even if you can't verify or you don't know, you don't have to trust it. You can self-custody. You can take care of your stuff. You can do what you never were allowed to do before this industry.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got to spread that gospel.
Yeah, we have to, especially with the like I said, Thanksgiving coming up tomorrow, and all of the family members that's gonna ask you.
Here's a good question before we get going. I always give everyone a chance to give some plugs and stuff and where to follow you. So tell everyone where to follow you. But you said you're going to do Bitcoin in Black America 2. Is it like a different book? Is it just like a rewrite, like new info?
Totally different book, new info. This market moves very fast, so totally different book from 3 years ago. All new chapters, all new writings about different ways to self-custody. That's literally the first chapter: how to be as private as possible in self-custody, like right off the bat. So a lot of good stuff in there. That will be available in January on Amazon, so you'll be able to get it there, as well as bitcoinandblackamerica.com. And then, of course, the Gentlemen of Crypto. We're on Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. And you can find me on Twitter at BitcoinZay.
10 a.m. Eastern. That's 7 a.m. out here, man. You gotta.
And my co-host, he lives in LA full time. I'm back and forth, so
you make him wake up every morning.
Hey man, you gotta get up anyway.
He's
a military guy, so he's usually up.
He's disciplined. So, but no, I joke because like in this space, what's funny is that most people talk about staying up really, really late. I almost always prefer waking up early if I have to. Like I'd rather staying up late happens all the time, and because we're in this space. But I don't like doing the super crazy meetings, right? Oh, there's a Coop. Coop just posted a selfie in the chat with you and your book.
Nice. Appreciate the support, Coop.
Yeah. You pre-ordered the second book already. Nice. Yeah. It looks like a lot of the crew will be supporting. I would love to have you back before then, or like during the launch and all that. So please let's plan on doing that. And hopefully an in-person event at some point again. I appreciate you coming on. We got to do this more. I know that like what's going on in the industry got us down this whole rabbit hole. We didn't talk about diversity and inclusion too much, but I think
this is diversity, being able to just speak about whatever.
It is funny. I went to just a total random thing because this happens all the time. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of women in our space hate, like with a passion, when there's like a panel at a conference that's called like Women in Crypto or Women in this, Women in Bitcoin, Women in whatever. And they're just like, can't we just like, if I host a Bitcoin talk, why does it have to be about the fact that I'm a woman? Like, can't it just be, we're talking about Bitcoin? And
diversity of thought, not necessarily diversity of gender.
It was funny. We were at the summit, and one of the biggest proponents of this is a good friend of Wendy O's of Wendy's, and she was with Wendy, and I walked up to Wendy on purpose, and I was like, "Hey, Wendy, I was thinking about launching a Women in Crypto podcast. I was wondering if you wanted to be the host." And I purposely said it like just fucking around with her in front of her friend that I know was super anti this, and her friend was like, like wasn't sure like who I was in that moment. Like it was like you could tell she was like starting to boil on the inside, like she's like and then Wendy started laughing hysterically because she knew I was fucking with her friend, and it was really funny. But you know, I think getting to the real topic, right, of the diversity, this whole space, right. And I've maybe said this before in front of some of our see, Pamela, not all women feel that way. And I think you're right. I think everyone should be able to do their thing. And I think that what's funny is I did hear from I was going to say something totally different really quickly to Pamela. I had a person tell me at the event that they disagreed with I keep forgetting her name. I'm such an asshole. I should have remembered her name if I'm going to bring her up. But Wendy's friend who was saying this, I had a woman come up to me and was like, I love the women's spaces. It makes me feel like I could be more included. It makes me feel like I can feel more welcome. I can be myself and whatever. And I think they're wrong, but I'm afraid to say it because they've been so vocal about how stupid it is. Right. And it's like, it's this funny thing. But that's the beauty of our space, right? There are no borders. There are no gatekeepers. You can do whatever the fuck you want. This isn't Twitter, you know, and this isn't, you know, this isn't blockchain and booze either. Right. Like, you know, I'm in charge of who comes on the show here. On Twitter, it's a different, you know, totally incentivized in other way. And on Facebook, they're totally incentivized in their own way. But Bitcoin has no, you know, preference, right? Ethereum has no preference. A smart contract. What's interesting, I mentioned that ape coin at the beginning of the thing. They mentioned geo blocking in the last bullet after they already said, if you choose to go directly to the smart contract, you could do that, but we'll have an interface for you. By saying that, basically saying we can't stop anyone from doing fucking anything.
Yeah,
right?
I was about to say, they basically just admit it. Well, it's a free for all, but we'll just put this in there to make the regulators happy.
Yeah, it's such BS, right? It's like but the beauty is really what I'm saying. It's a borderless, gatekeeperless industry. At least the technology is borderless and gatekeeperless. Now the industry, there's all sorts of biases. There's dudes like us, and we might have preferences we don't even realize, and whatever. But the thing is, you don't need my approval to do fucking anything, right? If you don't need anyone's approval to do anything in this space. All you need to do is do it, right? And that's the beauty of it. And I think that, you know, I joked before, you know, I was gonna say, I was a punk rocker growing up, and one of my favorite songs is a song called "Fuck the Border" by Propagandhi, and it's literally just talks about some shitty things, then just goes, it basically screams "fuck the border" over and over and over again, right? And when you're 16 years old, that's so cool. And you know what, like, that's the thing is at the end of the day, the border is becoming less and less meaningful, and the regulators are actually helping that. And as much as I love California and I make these jokes and I will live here probably for the rest of my life and raise my family here because this is my home, it doesn't have to be for you. And you know what? Those other places in the world are looking more and more appealing, right? Like it's
a lot of people,
and you know, think about all the shit that happened in our lifetime and how many friends for different reasons, as well as if this politician wins, I'm moving to Canada. If this thing happens, I'm going there. And it never fucking happens. Right? It never happens. This is the first time. And it partly maybe COVID helped, partly just technology in the world and the fact that like we book shit on Expedia so easily or whatever. I don't know. There's a million reasons, but like this is the first industry in group ever where people did it and people are doing it. Right. And it's kind of awesome in many ways. And so, you know,
that's another thing. If something goes wrong in one country, they can just pick up and go to another one. So it's basically keeping countries honest. Like, well, you can go down the regulation, we hate crypto road, but you won't have many companies there. And if this is going to be one of the most valuable industries, they're shooting themselves in the foot. That's why I don't understand what the US is doing right now. We have all the money we want. We could just buy all the miners and start mining Bitcoin full time. But yeah, it's got to be something else at play.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. If you follow the money and you follow what's actually, you know, going on, that's the problem. It's look, like we've had many years of each sort of political party being in charge. in both directions, or then they pretend like they're so polar opposite in their directions, but they're pretty square in the middle, and there's not much difference between them. But we don't even have to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And the things that both sides say are their number one priorities haven't been addressed, and they've only gotten worse. So what is it like? What if why like we should like the whole we can talk we can make this a 5-hour space and just keep going down these rabbit holes, but it's absolutely bonkers, right?
I mean,
to those of us who want change, right?
Yeah, and to people who actually want to see something happen, you start seeing that there's two wings of the same bird, that you're like, man, keep getting the same. And honestly, it doesn't matter where you fall on the political spectrum or wherever you fall as far as who you support. Mention the Federal Reserve or mention changing money, and I promise you get the same exact reaction from both sides. All of them will have the same thing. They'll be like, well, hold up. Well, first of all, everything else becomes mute. So that's the fight we're in now. We're trying to change how money works. And that's why I think we're in a better position to sort of figure it out more so than other industries.
I think that all of the things that no matter which side, like, again, talk about the polarizing Twitter kind of bullshit stuff, right? The outrage. We're meant to believe that those differences are so insanely huge. And there are some key things that maybe you religiously disagree with. And I don't even use the word religiously like in religion sense. Like there's just some things that I think are like inherently human rights and somebody else might think is something different. And we can fight about it. But at the end of the day, the reason why we believe in those two things so vehemently and are because we love each other, right? Like I want you to be able to do that thing that I think is good for you, and you want me to do the thing that is good for you, and it might be different things, right? Fine.
Right. Yeah,
but we wouldn't be so passionate about it if we didn't like each other, right? If we didn't like if we hated people, right?
Right.
Right? Like and the thing that's nuts about it all is, again, just follow their track records. Those folks stay in power. Those folks make more money by not making real decisions, by not making changes, and by debating it. And I can't get a contribution from a group that wants me to change something after I change it.
Yeah, because
my
it's solved now.
Mailbox money stops coming in.
Yeah, exactly. So you just got to keep it rolling, or just say that, hey, we're arguing, we're trying to vote on it. The committee doing something different. Yeah, so you got to keep it going. There's no money in the cure. It's only in the medicine.
Yep. Yeah. And Crispin is asking, this is funny. This is actually kind of related to the topic, but we got to finish off so everyone can turn on their camera. I'm going to say it in a sec. But Crispin asked in the chat, he said it's unrelated, but is DGH associated with Draper House? I think you're talking about Draper Startup House. And that is a separate company under the Draper umbrella. It's kind of like, what's interesting about it is they created co-working and co-living spaces around the world for entrepreneurs who like to travel around the world, who don't need to stay in a certain place, or maybe for regulatory reasons, don't want to be in a certain place. And they have a place in Singapore, and we're actually working with them. Joseph, my partner, is working with them to potentially do something pretty big in Dubai together, because there's some favorable jurisdictions and things like that, and a free trade zone that the Dubai government created that we might do something with them there. So we're not related, but Crispin, I can connect you if you want to be connected, or that's my answer is we're friends with them. Isaiah, any last words before we cut this off?
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to come on. Definitely want to come back as well, speak some more. But again, when you mention diversity and inclusion, this is it. Real diversity is the fact that anybody can join in any space and talk about any subject, diversity of thought and diversity of ideas. So I'm glad that we had this discussion, brother. I always support you, and definitely be talking.
Thank you. And we'll, if Bitcoin in Black America 2 will be out next year, we're going to have to, have you back on here. And next time we do an in-person event, we'll have to figure out a book signing situation or a hang session situation, live blockchain and booze or something. We can have some fun. For those of you, talk about participation by everyone. If you want to turn on your camera or not turn on your camera and just use your voice or whatever, go to blockchainbooze.io right now. When I turn this off, I'm going to flip a switch in our admin system where my video goes away. It's just a chat. And if you want, you can jump into the chat, not just talk with text, but you can turn on your camera and hang out with the crew. I see a good amount of the crew is there right now. So I'll hop in there. hopefully I don't have to sneak away too soon for a dinner with the fam, but I'll be online tonight. Thank you so much for joining, man.
Thank you, brother.
Congrats on the years of success with the Gentlemen of Crypto and everything else you're doing. You know what, like, being independent is probably way better than what was going on before. You can say what you want, do what you want, and that's the whole reason why we're all in this space. You know, I will say a big part of why I'm here is because I can't work for people. Like, it doesn't work. Like, it just, and that's the type of person I am. I want to work with a lot of people, but I can't work for people, especially in those big environments. So, you know, we're here because we're independent. There's a space for everyone to participate. Not everyone will agree, but everyone can find common ground. And I think we all believe in that freedom, and that's the most important part of it. So thanks for joining. We'll do this again. We should do this more often, and we'll hang soon. Thank you, Isaiah.
Thank you, brother.
See everyone on the other side.